You're listening to the Media Man Dan podcast, your place for music, movies, news, reviews, and interviews. Welcome to the show. Get ready to rock. Let's rock! What's up, guys, and welcome to the Media Man Dan podcast. Today, I am with the incredible band, actually just one member, Taylor of the band Blacksound. And when I tell you guys that you need to listen to this band, I'm not joking. You need to listen to them. All right, Taylor, what is up, my friend?
What's up?
How is Japan?
Thank you for the intro, man. That was great. You hyped me up on myself.
Happy to help you out, man.
It's finally starting to turn to spring over here, so it's not so cold anymore. It's awesome.
You say not so cold as we are literally getting pelted with snow outside today in Chicago.
No. I am not jealous of you right now, dude. It's very warm this week. It hasn't been this warm in a long time, so everything's good, man. I feel like all the animals are surprised. It's like an early springtime, you know.
Yeah, that's very nice. All right. So my big question when it comes to your location right now, did everybody move to Japan?
That's a funny story because when Blacksound first started, it technically wasn't Blacksound. We started as a different band. At first we called ourselves I versus I.
Oh,
And so it was originally me, and like I found all the other members on Craigslist actually. Like I just put up ads on Craigslist like, hey, looking for a guitar player, bass player, drummer for my metalcore band, you know.
yeah.
And so I found the members, and one of the members I found on there is actually Blacksound's current lead guitar player, Andrew Scott. And so me and him like hit it off immediately and just became really good buddies. We became like writing partners, and we were all in LA, but he was originally from North Carolina. And so something came up and he had to move back to North Carolina suddenly. So when that happened, we tried to keep it going and we played like one local show without him, and it just kind of didn't feel right. So I told the guys like, yo, let's put this on pause for a second. Let me workshop these songs, you know, flesh them out a little bit better, and we'll go right back into it when we're feeling good again. And so me and Andrew, like we just kept in touch online over the internet, like sending demos to each other and working on it together that way. And eventually we had like 7 songs that were good to go. So we took them into the studio with our friends in the band Bad Omens. And
Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah, they were good friends of mine. Like I had been a fan of their vocalist Noah, like since like back in the day. Like he used to be like doing YouTube type stuff, like vocal covers and stuff like that. So I found him that way. So when Bad Omens debuted, I was already like a big fan of his.
Yeah.
And they were in LA as well. So just kind of quickly we became friends, and they were like, oh, if you ever want to record music, hit us up. So when we finally had some songs to record that we were like, these are good, we like these, we took them to the Bad Omens guys. Andrew flew in for like a weekend from North Carolina, and we just like we cranked out all of Andrew's parts, and then the rest I tracked just over a couple months or so. And then it actually came about, my grandpa, he's full Japanese, like born, raised, like fully Japanese. And he had a company, or he has a company out here. It's like a fish oil supplement company, like vitamins, you know. So he his company actually started to do well, but they were worried about his age because he's older. So he called me up and he was like, "Yo, would you be interested?" This isn't how he said it, but how I'll paraphrase. He was like, "Would you be interested in, coming out to Japan and trying out working for me so that I could show these guys that, I have someone to possibly keep this going if something were to happen to him, you know. I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, might as well. Like, I was just working at TGI Fridays in America, you know. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll try it out. So I came out to Japan at first, just like a couple months at a time. Like at first, I came out for 1 month, then came back home for a month, went out for 2 months. And so eventually it was like, okay, I think it's time I move out there full time and fully work for the company. Like things were going good. And it was actually at that same time was when I was recording with the Bad Omens guys.
Oh,
And so I told them, I was like, oh, I'm actually going to move to Japan. Like they knew I had been like going back and forth, but I was like, I'm fully going to move out there. And they were like, oh, we're doing a tour in Japan in the springtime. I think it was spring 2018.
what a
And I was
coincidence.
like, yeah. So I was like, oh, no way. I'm going to go to every show, bro. And they were like, please, we're scared. Like, no one's going to be there. And so they came out and I was there at the same time and we did the whole tour together. And that like opened up so many doors for me out here because then it was like everyone, I met so many musicians and so many other bands and, you know, people just on that tour hanging out with everyone. A little bit before that was when I had met the now current rhythm guitar player of Blacksound, Reda. And so he was already in Japan. Like he was actually born. I think he was born in Japan, but he's half Moroccan. So he lived in Morocco for a little bit. He grew up a little bit in America in New Jersey for some reason.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
uh, yeah. So when I met him, me and him just clicked, and he was just coming out of a band, and so I was just coming to Japan, and I still had all these songs that we recorded with the Bad Omens guys. So I was like, I'm just gonna keep it going in Japan. So I asked Red, I was like, yo, you want to join the band? And he was like, yeah, sure, why not? It sounds fun. I'd love to. And so me and him, we flew back to LA for a couple of weeks and we recorded a music video. Andrew also flew into LA from North Carolina. And we filmed the video for our debut song, Forget. And then
Oh,
we went back to Japan and that's kind of how it's been since. Like in terms of permanent members, it's really just me, Andrew, and Retta. And then depending if we're in America, if we're in Japan, we have different drummers and bass players, just like depending on the
yeah.
location, the
Oh
the
my
time
gosh.
too. So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
That is interesting, especially since you thought you would be like one of the only people in Japan that like knew American, you know, life.
Right,
And
right,
you met
right.
this guy who's like, "No, hey, I'm from America."
Yeah,
That worked out
yeah.
so much better. But I gotta talk about Bad Omens. Like they dropped an incredible album last
Oh
year.
yeah,
You were
those dudes are awesome.
probably jamming to that and like
Oh,
just blown away with how much their sound has
always.
changed.
Always, dude. Like I said, I first discovered Noah, like I think I was like 14, and so that must have made him like 18 when I first discovered him. And so from the first time I saw his videos on YouTube, I was like, oh, this is the guy. Like I was like, I know he's gonna make it, you know. So when Bad Omens came out debuting already on Sumerian Records, it was like, oh, I knew it, you know. So already like Noah's been the man. But I texted him the other day. I was like, oh, I'm glad the rest of the world's starting to see what I always knew, dude. I always knew you were gonna be, the top of the top, best of the best. And here we go, bro. Like buckle in, buckle up.
Yeah. Yeah, their big hit that hit TikTok and it's still
Yeah,
trending right now. Like incredible how many
it's
people got
crazy.
into metal based on that specific song.
Dude, I saw one TikTok where someone was like, this is a TikTok for all the other BTS stands that love Bad Omens. Like, show your support. And I was like, what is this crossover, bro?
Yeah,
BTS, K pop, and Bad Omens. Like, this is awesome.
that's the world that we need to live in where every genre respects one another and they say
100%.
all fan bases are welcome because you don't want to have the elitist category where you're stuck with the people that are like, it has to stay the same forever, it can never
Oh,
change.
yeah.
That's not fun. But I got into Bad Omens with the Hands album, whatever that one was, and
Yeah. It's a long, long name, that one.
Finding God Before God Finds Me or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit of a
Really good.
mouthful.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
I got hooked, and then somebody was like, "You mean Sepaternal 2.0?" And I was like, "Listen, hey, This is good music.
Yeah, I got a little bit of the Bring Me the Horizon comparisons when they first came out, but everyone's first album, like it's gonna sound like the stuff that you really like, the stuff you really listen to. Like I think it had a twinge of the Bring Me the Horizonness to it, but as they moved on, especially now with this newest album, they fully have found their own sound and their own thing, and I think no one could compare them to Bring Me the Horizon nowadays.
Oh,
Even though Bring Me the
absolutely.
Horizon got kind of poppy too, so I guess you could kind of compare them still, but
Yeah,
different.
yeah. I love the progression that we keep seeing from these huge metal bands that either started in deathcore or metalcore. And with your start also being in metalcore, I do want to talk about definitely Forget, but I want to talk about the album as a whole. How did you guys come up with the sound that you have on that album?
Well, it's funny. I mean, so like I said, we started off as a different band. We were I versus I when we wrote Forget. A lot of actually that first album, Pathos, a lot of that was written when we were I versus I. So when that band, basically broke up, we just said it was like a hiatus, but we
Yeah,
basically broke up. So we took all those songs we had. I think the songs that we had that actually ended up on the album, it was Forget, Breed. It might have been just those ones, maybe 12 months. So we took those songs and we took them into the studio with the Bad Omens guys. And so the way the process kind of starts with Blacksound is I write all the simple demos. Like I just write real simple guitar riffs and simple drums, and then I'll send that to Andrew. And Andrew, he keeps the song. He doesn't really change a lot besides the guitar and the bass and maybe like some post production synth and piano stuff like that. So he will transform these songs, and he'll give me like too much. Like he'll just give me more than what I need, and then I can kind of trim what I want and rearrange it how I want to use it. And so then we have this kind of new demo that's now kind of me and Andrew. Then we take that to the studio with the Bad Omens guys, and they do the same thing I did with Andrew's stuff, but with all of us now.
yeah,
And so they've been a part of every Black Sound release. Like they did the Rosary EP, they did all the new singles. Like so they co-write everything with us. So we bring in all the demos, and then like I said, we all just gonna sit down together and improve upon them, I guess.
yeah,
And that's always fun, because you can trust a band like Bad Omens, where if they say like, "Oh, what if we change this? Like, we think it'd be better this way." Like, there's not really a lot of like, I don't know, guys. Like, we trust those guys, so we're like, okay, if you think that'll be good, let's do that.
definitely,
So
definitely.
it's good to have trust in a relationship like that.
Yeah, and out of all things, the band that you were idolizing growing up, you were like, this is something I'm gonna see growing in the future. And during the time that you guys were starting and you were getting your hype up, they were
Yeah,
still growing. So you were like,
yeah.
let's see who's gonna make it to the top first. And you've kept that
Oh,
relationship regardless, no matter how far you guys go up, you're like, this is where I started, and they're so respectful of that. And that's
oh
an
yeah.
amazing thing, especially right now with their big prime that they've never been at before.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was never any question of who would get big first. We were pretty positive Bad Omens was gonna beat us there. But they have been so good to us, and like especially to me. Like when I first became friends with Noah, actually, like first I just hit him up when Bad Omens debuted. Like I'd already been following him and like tweeting at him and stuff. So when Bad Omens came out, I did a vocal cover of that Glass Houses song, that first song they debuted with. And so Noah like retweeted it, and he was like, "Here you go. This is the first Bad Omens vocal cover. Everyone like put it in the books." And so then like we just became friendly, and I asked him, I was like, "Oh, dude, would you sing on one of my band songs?" And he was like, "Oh, I'd love to." Unfortunately, Sumerian did not let that happen, but
No,
so that's how we first started talking, and then I think it was around 2016. I think my mom passed away unexpectedly, unfortunately.
hey, my
But
condolences, man.
thank you. But so I tweeted something out because I wasn't I didn't have a whole lot of friends around that time, and I was pretty lonely. And And so I just tweeted out, I was like, my mom passed away the other night, didn't have anyone to tell. So I thought I'd just post something here. And Noah actually reached out to me after I posted that. And he was just like, yo, dude, I don't know if you're being serious with that thing you just posted, but if you are, like, I'm here if you need to talk, man. Like, if you need anything, like, I'm here for you. And I was just like, dude, thank you so much, man. Like, that means so much. And we started talking more seriously like that. And then we just went out for lunch one day, me, him, and the old bass player of Bad Omens, Vincent. And we went out to Chipotle actually, and Noah bought my burrito for me, and he was like, I told him, I was like, Noah, what advice can you give me? Like, how do I do this? How do I get successful with music? And he was like, dude, this sucks, and I hate saying it, but 100%, it all boils down to who you know. Like, that's the most important thing, is who you know.
Yeah.
And I just kind of scratched my chin. I was like, I know Bad Omens. and and so I've been relying on that for a while now. And dude, they've been so supportive the entire, like, their whole journey of them getting bigger and bigger. Like, they've never hesitated to share Blacksound or, help us record or anything. Like, they're always a text away, just like, hey, you guys were making a new acoustic song, can you do post production for it? Oh yeah, 100%, let's do it. Like, that's how it goes. And so they've been so busy with touring lately, but as soon as they've got time and our schedules line up, we definitely want to go record some new stuff with them as soon as possible.
Excellent. Well, I'm learning so much about the story behind you. For the rest of the guys, this is probably like just any other person that you talk to that's like super famous. It's like, oh yeah, Noah. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. But it's incredible story, and especially since he was so respectful in that
Yeah.
time that you needed somebody, and
Yeah.
out of all people, it's always nice to know that someone out there that you've idolized, that you look up to, is not just a person on a pedestal, but they're a real human being, and they
Oh yeah.
want to, make you feel like you're able to get through anything. And, if that takes a Chipotle burrito, it's worth
Yeah. Dude,
it.
I've got so many stories like that about Noah. Like, on their very first tour, like the first tour that Bad Omens ever did, it was like the Sumerian 10-year anniversary tour, something like that. Noah hit me up. He was like, yo, I got you for guest list. Like, just let me know, like, anytime. And so when the show finally came up, I hit him up. I was like, yo, am I still on the guest list? Am I good to come? And he was like, oh, dude, I'm sorry, man. It's because it's an LA show. Our guest list got filled up with all the industry people. But dude, if you buy a ticket, we'll pay you back. And I replied back to him. I was like, dude, I don't have any money. Like, I don't have a credit card or anything. Like, I was like 16, I think.
Yeah.
16, 17. So I was like, dude, I don't have anything. And he was like, don't worry about it. I got you. Just bought the ticket. Meet me outside tomorrow. And that was the first time I met him, even before the Chipotle lunch stuff. Like, I met him outside the venue, the Roxy in Hollywood. And he looked so miserable that day, dude. He was so tired, and he said that he had like dropped a guitar amp on his foot that day. And
Oh no.
he was like, it has been a terrible day, dude, but I'm so happy to meet you finally. And so that was the odd start to me and his friendship. And then, when my mom passed away, he hit me up then and took me out for Chipotle. After that, like, he would come like watch Blacksound before we were Blacksound I versus I. He would like come watch us practice so that he could like give us tips and like help us like with the mixing and stuff like that. And we even like jammed like exit wounds before, like all of us. Like, it was just the most awesome thing, man. Like, Noah always went above and beyond for us, like especially for me.
Yeah, dude, incredible. You're making me want to like definitely see them, but also you make me want to buy all their merch.
Oh yeah. I've
So
got I've got a lot of it. Oh, I'm actually wearing some right now.
what are the odds?
Yeah, I didn't even realize it.
Dude, that's so nice though. Camaraderie with any artist, especially us fans, and you're in a band now as well. We'll definitely
Yeah,
go into
yeah,
your band because you guys are amazing. But like just
yeah,
having that connection where it is fan to idol is a friend, to friend helps a friend. That's
yeah.
an incredible turn of events.
we've even transcended that now. Now I'm like annoying little brother where he's like almost annoyed by me. He's like, "Oh my god, Taylor, shut up, bro."
Oh
Yeah.
man, incredible. So I want to talk about the music that you made, but I also want to talk about the influences that you had maybe before Noah. Like what really shaped your vocal sound?
Well, I mean, it's funny when talking about Blacksound because when Blacksound first started, it was literally just me. Like I think it was around 2015, 2014, somewhere around there. I was in like a post-hardcore band, and when I joined, I just joined as like I'm gonna be your guys' screamer, and they just kind of showed me the stuff they were writing, and I didn't really like it, and so I was like, oh, what if we did something like this? And I grabbed the guitar, and they were like, oh, Taylor, that's awesome. You should write the songs. So I just ended up writing songs that like they wanted me to write for them, and like what we thought was gonna like blow up and be big or whatever. And it just felt like really like artificial to me. Like I was like, why am I doing like it was my first band basically, like my first serious band. I was 15. So I ended up leaving that band and just started writing the stuff I wanted to write. And so the first demo was actually the song Breed, which is on Pathos. And that was like the start of what would eventually turn into Blacksound. And so it's funny because when I first wrote Breed, I start everything with guitar. So I just wanted to write some like heavy, angry, dark music. And the vocals kind of followed that. And in the beginning, I had a really hard time singing over my own music. Like I had no problem writing screaming stuff, but for some reason, singing on my stuff was always hard for me. Eventually, that got better and morphed into what our sound is today. But in terms of influences and stuff that we wanted to sound like, or I wanted to sound like in the beginning stage, like I really loved like The Devil Wears Prada and The Plot in You. And so I wanted to do that kind of, it wasn't classic metalcore in the sense of like Kill Switch Engage or something like that, but it still had that kind of 2009 sound, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't
Yep.
Asking Alexandria final episode anymore. It was something like evolved past that, but it was still kind of had roots in that 2009 scene, metalcore, flippy hair, Bring Me the Horizon, all that. So it was still heavy though, but it wasn't quite so cheesy as it used to be with like Attack Attack and bands like that.
Yeah.
Like the synth went away to this kind of atmospheric, very spacey, like kind of stoner metalcore that I loved. And so those were big influences for me then. But like my favorite band in the whole world is Circa Survive, which is another like kind of atmospheric, spacey, ambient. They're not quite metal, but hard rock. So I mean that was something I always wanted with Blacksound. And I got really lucky finding Andrew because Andrew is the perfect guitar player for all that. He loves all of that. And he's Mr. Progressive Metal. Like he's always trying to do some weird stuff. So he's great because he'll try to explain like what I'm doing to me. Like how would I say, like with like music theory, like he went to school for this stuff, so he like
Oh,
understands it
he's giving
on
you
like
the
a
ins and outs.
mathematical. Yeah, so he'll be like, oh dude, when you did that suspended seven chord with this, like that's so cool, that's what makes it so like sad, blah blah blah. And I'd be like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but thanks, dude.
That's how it felt when I was with my friends in a chat. They would talk about how they were tuning their guitar, and they're like,
Yeah.
"What are we doing? Drop C?" And I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know what you guys are talking about at all.
Yeah.
I don't think you can drop a C. I mean, you can drop your finger on the C note on the keyboard if you'd like."
Yeah. That's what's so awesome about Andrew knowing all that is he's able to use it to like make our like expand our material. And it's funny too, because like when we're in the studio with the Bad Omens guys, they're not classically trained or anything like that either. So Andrew will like help them out too, where he'll be in the studio working on all this and he'll be like, oh no, no, not that though. Like this, it needs to be this one. And they're like, oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And it's funny too, because they Bad Omens, they like to keep it kind of by the books, like 4/4 time. Like they don't get too weird with it. So we have some new songs that haven't come out yet that we're going to be putting out soon this year, probably this summer. That like we've got one where the timing is so weird. Like, you know, a normal song is 4/4, like I said, like 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4.
Yep.
And we wrote this crazy song. Like, it was actually an old song from back in the I versus I days. And it was just like, I didn't write it with any kind of like workspace in mind or anything. Like, I just wrote it on the guitar, just like with my ear, you know.
Yeah.
And so when we were in the studio with the Bad Omens guys, they were like, "We don't get this. We don't really like this. Like, we don't get this song." And so it wasn't 4/4, it wasn't all that. So Andrew sat there and he counted. He goes, "Okay, it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 1 2 3." And we were just like, we wrote a 13 song. Like, it was like 13/8 or something. I don't know. It was weird. And Noah was like, "All right, Jolly, you know, his guitar player, Jolly, you do this one. I can't figure this out. You handle this one." And so Noah left us to our own devices on that one. And it turned out awesome though. Like, it sounds like just like a Meshuggah song. Like, it's crazy. I can't wait to put it out.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And you said it was back in the I versus I day. So this has
Yeah.
been sitting on the cutting room floor for how many years? Like
Oh man.
six,
It
seven
was one of
years?
the, yeah, something like that. Like, if I first wrote the song in like 2016, somewhere around there. And it changed a lot for sure. Like, we improved it so much, especially having the Bad Omens dudes just, you know, smooth everything, like polish everything over. Like, it really turned into like a, what is this, to a, oh, this kicks ass, you know.
Oh
And
man,
then
I am
also
pumped.
we had Buster Odehome. Odehome. It's a Swedish last name. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but
Okay, gotcha.
he's the guitar player of Humanity's Last Breath and the drummer of Viljaharda. And he mixed and masters stuff for so many great bands. And he mixed and mastered all of our last EP Rosary and all of our new stuff, our new singles that came out too. And he's from Sweden, so he's just fucking all that kind of real heavy metal, like death metal type of stuff. Our
Masterful.
Meshuggah song I was talking about, like the mix on that is just insane, man. I can't wait to put that one out.
Oh, that's you're hyping it up more and more, man. I'm very excited. I am like, should I just wait until that comes out and then drop the interview?
I mean, we're gonna be doing a lot of stuff this year, man. So I think you know, whenever you want to put it out is probably a good time, because we aren't stopping. You know, the grind never stops, and this year is going to be a big one for us for sure.
Perfect. And we'll go into that. I want to just compliment because you were talking about the most recent singles that you're just falling in love with. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to tell you how hilarious this one is. Painted Tunnels. I
Mm.
thought, I'm not kidding you. I listened to that song like 5 times and I was like, he's saying painted turtles. I'm like, okay.
Painted
Maybe it's about a
turtle.
pet. And I'm like, no, it's on the wall. It's on the wall. What is he talking about?
It's kind of cool imagery though. Painted turtle. I dig that.
Yeah, it's
I would
amazing.
love I would love that.
Yeah, that's my favorite song besides Forget. I love Forget so much. I was showing
Thank
my
you, man.
friend all of your music last night, and I started going through each track on the first album because I was like, which one was that song that has like the most melodic and most singing? I'm like, I don't want to scare him off, you know? And,
All
and I
right.
want to compliment your scream, by the way. Your
Thank you. Thank
scream
you.
reminded me of the band Oh Sleeper, if you've heard of
Oh,
them.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I've gotten that before. Yeah, they're awesome. I love those guys.
absolutely. And the darkness that you're talking about, also I noticed that a lot on the first album. And then it's a big switch when you get into the EP and the singles as well. I'm like,
Right.
wow, this band, you should be growing your fan base.
Oh, we
Definitely.
are, man.
With all your connections to Bad Omens, I'm really hoping that their fan base will jump into yours as well.
Oh, that helped us a lot from the very beginning. Like, it's funny because Forget was the first single. Like, we always knew from the beginning that it was special and we really loved that one. And so we knew, oh, that's the one we got to film a video for. That's the first one people got to hear. And when it came out, the Bad Omens guys, they shared it. It was funny, actually. I just put it out. Like, I didn't tell them. I just put it out. And Noah messaged me that morning. And he said, Taylor, what the hell are you doing? Like, send me the link. Like, give me, I need to share it, bro. Like, what are you doing? And so I gave him the links, and him and Jolly shared it. And that, like, overnight, we got like 20,000 streams on Spotify and like 6,000 views or something on YouTube. Like, they helped blow it up so much. Everyone was just commenting, like, Noah brought me here. Noah brought me here. Like, without those dudes, Blacksound would not be what it is today, for sure.
Well, regardless of the amazing talent that you have in the booth, amazing experience that you've had with Noah, I honestly think that your music, your songs are so awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you. We really
That
appreciate
first
it.
song that you guys had me react to, Breathless.
Yeah.
I listened to the acoustic version a couple times, and the reason is I love the orchestral elements in
Oh,
any
yeah.
type of rock or metal song. My favorite band being Red has just tons of orchestral stuff. So I got hooked onto that acoustic one, and now I think I like that even more than the original. And like,
That's awesome.
who came up with the idea of putting that into the end of it? It sounds so good. It just builds up to that too.
Well, it was awesome actually. Like, we always wanted to do like acoustic versions for the softer songs, just because naturally we all kind of like that stuff. And like I said, Andrew is a music nut. Like, he's just a nerd with it. So he first we did the Forget acoustic, and we did that as kind of like we were closing out the Pathos era and getting ready to start the Rosary EP kind of like era, I guess you could say, where
Yeah.
we were just really focusing on that. So to close out and start with the new stuff, we decided to kind of go full circle with it and do Acoustic Forget, like our first song. Here's the kind of end of that story. Here's the Acoustic Forget. And we had so much fun doing that. And again, we hit up Jolly from Bad Omens, and we said, "Yo, can you do post production on this?" And so we sent him just the guitar. Like, that's all it was when we sent it to him. And then he put like everything else on there. And then I sang on it, and that was the song. Um so when it was time after Breathless came out, and I think it was also after the Rosary EP had come out as well. We wanted again to kind of, put a kind of marker in between of, this project to the next one. And so that was Breathless Acoustic. And with that one, Andrew had an idea from the beginning. He was like, we have a guitar solo on that song. You can't really do a guitar solo with an acoustic song. What
Mhm.
if we hire a violinist to do it? And we were like, oh, that's awesome. Let's do
Oh,
that 100%. So he just went on that website Fiverr, and he just found like a professional violin player, and like I forget how much he paid her. It was a girl. I think less than like $100. Like, it was not expensive at all. And he just gave her the song, and he gave her the original song, and he said, "Can you add violin to this song?" And that's what you hear on it.
oh my God. Yeah, this
And
guy,
then
he's
go
got a
ahead, my bad.
vision. He's got a
Oh
vision,
yeah,
and he
he was
makes
awesome
sure
with
that
it.
it happens. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Okay,
And then he
continue.
found like this percussion player, like I forget what the instrument's called, like cajon or whatever. And so it's kind of that acoustic, like you always see bands using it for their acoustic sets, like most of the time the drummer's like sitting on it and he's
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
slapping it. So he found like a professional one of those guys on Fiverr too. Like, I forget where he was from, some like South American dude. And he was like, "Hey, will you put percussion on this song?" So we just had this really weird acoustic song of Breathless that was awesome. And we gave that to Jolly again. We were like, "Can you make this more weird?" And Jolly, of course, was like, "Yeah." And so he killed it. He loved it. And again, lastly, I did my vocals, and that was the song. And that was the two acoustic songs. Those are the only songs that we've self-produced, actually, besides, having Jolly add his synth and piano and all that type of stuff on it. But
Yeah,
in terms of like mix and mastering and stuff like that, that was all done by us and Andrew for the most part.
incredible. All right, Taylor. So everything that you've told me so far has me sweating because I am so scared to know that I was in the presence of greatness. You have excellence in your booth, you have excellence in your voice, you have excellent people that you're meeting all over the planet, and you guys are able to put together some musical masterpieces. So I bow to you, sir. Who came up with the name?
Thank you, man.
You're very welcome. Who came up with the name Black Sound? And is it anything close to the brown noise episode of South Park? That's just my question.
That's hilarious. So Black Sound, I mean, I came up with the name, and the name Black Sound was inspired by when you throw on some headphones and you close your eyes and you go somewhere, and you're not technically seeing anything, but you are. You know what I mean? Like, you close your eyes and you see a different world or a different time, or it's just that kind of the ability to transport you somewhere that music has, like that. It saved my life, that feeling, like I used music as an escape a lot of the times in like my worst moments. So Black Sound was 100% fully inspired by that. Like, just that's I've said before, like, Black Sound is the message, not the band. And the message is like, music is real magic, and music can take you to places you've never been before, and through music you can express every emotion you could ever imagine. And I think there's a big problem in the world is a lot of people are running away from feeling and from emotions, and they don't want to feel sad feelings or anything negative per se, but there is no ups without the downs. And I think that's a big theme with Black Sound and our music and the band in general, is kind of facing the world head on and seeing what that does to you, who you turn into, how you react to it. So I think that's the whole message behind Black Sound, is feel something. If you can feel anything from our music, like, that's awesome. Like, if you think we suck, like, use it as motivation to make something better than us. Like, we'd love that. If it makes you sad, turn that sadness into something that propels you to create something. Like, that's always what we want. Like, we always just feel like we're kind of the next domino falling. And so the goal with Black Sound is not to make a bunch of money or get real famous or anything. It's like, if we can inspire the next kid to make the next band that's even better than us, like, that's all we want to do, is spread this magic of music.
Best answer I've ever heard in my life.
I've had a lot of practice.
For everybody that's listening right now, you want to rewind, close your eyes, go into the Black Sound of Taylor's voice as he gives
There
you
you
the
go.
explanation once more. That was magical, dude. That was
Thank you.
absolutely magical. I love that explanation. I love where you're coming from. I definitely get where you're coming from too, with the fact that, yeah, you close your eyes, you get into a song, and you're fully in a different world at that point. You are transported, like you
Exactly.
said, somewhere. And one of the songs that did that for me was Of These Chains by Red. Basically anything that makes me cry, that's a really good song.
There you go. There you go.
And it could be the happiest song, but if it sounds so good that it gets your hairs to stand up and it chills down your spine, that's how you know that there's something magical happening. And yes,
Exactly.
if your band captures that, which you guys do, you're
Thank you.
living up to that, man. You're absolutely the Black Sound. That is sick. That's sick.
Thank you, dude.
Oh, no
Yeah.
problem, man. All right. You were talking about a lot of releases that you have this year. Are we looking forward to an EP or an LP by the end of the year?
Definitely an EP. I'm trying to think. We've just released, I think last year in August, I think it was August, we put out Bleed Black. And then in October, we put out Painted Tunnels with like a visualizer video. And then I think last month, if I'm remembering correctly, we put out the music video for Painted Tunnels. So we've got one more single that we're gonna put out, followed by an EP. But we might drop them on the same day. We haven't even decided yet, but for sure we've got one more single we're gonna be pushing hard, and then all of these singles are gonna be on our next EP, which probably out by the summer.
Oh, that's super soon. Just a couple
Yes,
months.
sir.
Oh
Yes,
my God.
sir.
I'm pumped. Speaking of getting pumped for new stuff that's coming out, you guys probably have incredible merchandise. Would you like to drop the link of that or give me the website so that I can tell everybody about it?
That was the thing. We were selling merch for a while, but so we've got a lot of an international audience.
Oh, okay.
And so we had a lot of people buying it from Japan, and we had a lot of problems, like people just not receiving their orders or receiving the wrong order.
Oh, okay.
And
Shipping details and stuff. Gotcha.
yeah, so we ended up closing that merch store, and we're trying to find something that's based maybe in Japan, or it doesn't have to necessarily be in Japan, but something that's more intended for in an international shipping and not just within the US. Because in the US everyone was receiving their merch fine, but it was the orders to Japan that were getting a little tricky. But we're thinking of maybe just like printing our own, like, how would I say, like, supply, and then just like sending it out ourselves instead of relying on some kind of service to do it. But we're in the process of getting that going here soon again and getting a new merch site up and running.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to that. And I do have a recommendation, which I'll tell you after this, because
Sure.
yeah, the band Love Bites I was telling you from Japan, they have a pretty successful website. Took a because of the pandemic, it took about 70 days to get the t-shirt that I wanted,
Oh
but it did
no.
come to me.
That's good. That's good.
But yeah, yeah. There's always options out there, and I'm extremely excited to support you guys in every single way. So I would love to show the album when it comes out, and have a
Thank you, man.
T-shirt for it, the hat for it, the wristband. Hell, I'll get a tattoo for the first time. I'm like, this is the magic of music. It's gonna make
That's
me
awesome.
get over my fear of needles. Oh man, so much fun.
Happy we could help.
All right, my next question is, are there any Japanese artists that you have discovered that you're like, oh my gosh, people need to know who this is? Or are you trying to collaborate with any Japanese artists?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, when I first heard you say that, there was only one person that came to my mind, and that was one of my first friends I made in Japan, and his name is Luther Fisher. And so he was actually the vocalist of Blacksound. So Blacksound's current rhythm guitar player, Retta, who I talked about earlier, his old band's vocalist is Luther.
Oh,
And
okay.
so Luther, when that band kind of disbanded, he kind of was just doing like support vocals for a couple different bands for a while. But then he just decided, like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want as a solo act. And so he started like making these like hip hop songs, but they're not exactly hip hop. And he's rapping, but he's not exactly rapping. And he's just got to be the most experimental artist and just one of the coolest dudes I've met in general. And he actually, I had talked to him before. I was like, I really want to do some kind of project where we just like get all of our friends and all of the most talented people in the Japanese metal scene or just the music scene in general, and we just highlight everyone. He was like, dude, I had the same idea actually. Like, I'm in the process of making that. And I was like, oh, dude, you got to let me be a part of it. He said, of course. I was already going to ask you. And so he actually put out that EP just a couple months ago, I think, maybe the beginning of the year or the end of the year. Um, uh, but he did, I think, it might have been around like 20 songs, and each song he's got a different featuring artist on it from the Japanese music scene. And he's got metal guys, he's got rapper guys. Like, he took the best of the best. It's called the Luther Fisher Versus album, where it's just he remixed all of his songs with these new artists. And so he's got me on a song with another vocalist from a Japanese band, metal band called Given by the Flames. So it's me, Will from Given by the Flames, and Luther. And the three of us are doing it's like a trap metal horror core kind of song. Like, it kicks ass. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, if I got one recommendation, it's Luther's newest album, his collaboration album, because he did exactly what I wanted to do with that whole thing. And if you wanted to get a taste for the real music scene in Japan and like hear like the people who are actually like making moves and like are gonna be the big things coming out of Japan for sure, you got to listen to that album because that's on the street. Like, Luther, like, he knows who's good and he's friends with all these people, and Luther's great all the time. He makes all his beats, he produces everything. Like, he's the man. So everyone's got to go check him out for sure.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm going to make sure all of his information is in the description down below, along with your band's information for Blacksound
Thank
and
you.
everything. And we're going to talk about Luther's commitment to finding people in every genre, the versatility of this
Yeah.
man to put together an album of 20 songs. Like, that's my dream come true. If I could ever do like covers, I would be like, oh, I want to do like the 10-second songs guy and just like throw a bunch of genres at people and be like, what do you think
Yeah.
of this? But the fact that he was able to contact people through his networking skill and, have them jump on, and you said the best of the best, including you, awesome. I'm
Yeah.
dying to hear what this sounds like now. And yeah, trapcore, metalcore, horrorcore, all of these cores that
Yeah.
came out, and the rap community is like so into metal these days. It's so
Yeah.
insane. I love it.
And Luther's got the best rappers in Tokyo on his new EP too. Like he went all out. He killed it. The song that we did together is called Sick, and I think it's the second song on the EP. And he actually we filmed the music video for it, the three of us. Again, Luther does everything DIY himself, edits everything. So we literally just went to his house and like in his attic, he like set up these candles and we just all took turns like taking videos for this video. And yeah, he just put that out. I think like last week he put out the music video and it came out awesome. So I
Oh,
definitely recommend that.
oh, definitely. I'll play that for the outro for this.
Oh, well,
That'd be perfect because I want people to get as much exposure to you, your music, your friends, the people that you recommend. That's what music is a big community of people
for
coming
sure.
together and, as you said before, making magic. So I love it. I love music. I love this conversation. I love you. I love your band.
I love you, bro.
This is awesome. Much better than having a list of things to follow and just letting you talk about some of the greatest people. I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped, man.
You're making me pumped, bro.
Well, speaking of pumped, I want to talk about what makes you pumped when you're not making music. Do you got any really fun hobbies that you're doing on the side?
I mean, that's almost a problem for me. Like when stuff isn't music, like I have a hard time faking any type of interest. So like our rhythm guitar player Retta, he gets annoyed with me because it's like he's told me before. He's like, sometimes I just want to like talk about basketball, Taylor. Why can't we talk about basketball? We always got to be talking about music, you know? And I told him I was like, I don't really care about anything but music. But no, I really like cooking too. I like watching movies. I'm kind of a movie nut, but in terms of like stuff that gets me hyped up, I mean, it's really just music, man. Playing live music, writing new music, like music's like the only thing that's clinging around in my empty head, bro. Like if I didn't have music, bro, I'd have nothing for reals.
Oh my gosh, man. Well, I can relate to that. I also relate to your love for film. Did you have a favorite film from last year?
Last year, I forget what movies come out, but did the Batman come out last year?
Yes, it did.
That was I saw that like four times in the theaters. Like I loved it so much,
Oh
dude.
my
Like
gosh, do not watch my podcast episode about falling asleep in theaters for the second viewing of that movie.
oh no.
I loved it. I still gave it a B or a B plus, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yes, this movie's so good. But yeah, it's
yeah,
so long and it's so dark that if you're
yeah,
not
yeah,
fully into it because you've seen it before, you're like, okay, I know the plot, I know everything. So I was like,
yeah.
I got this.
I threw it on at home one night, and that same thing happened to me, man. I did not make it past the first 30 minutes. I was out.
But it's excellent and it's really, really Batman. That's the best
Oh
part
yeah,
about it. Like they
yeah,
nailed the character for the first time since The Dark Knight. I was so happy.
100%. I love superhero stuff, so that's most of the time what I'm going to see in theaters. Although I actually did just see well, the re-release of Titanic that they did.
How
I
was that?
was I love Titanic, so I was I was stoked. I never seen it in theaters, and they did it in like 3D. So I went and saw.
Yes.
It was like they did it like the same week as Valentine's Day or something too. So I went with the wife, man, and it was great.
Oh, perfect. And
Yeah.
congratulations to that as well. How long have you guys been together?
Well, technically she's fiance, but that's such a mouthful. So I'm always just I just shorten it to wife.
I
But
have a fiance as well, and I
oh,
shortened
awesome.
it to Allison.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
easy for most conversations. I just say Allison, so I don't have to
Yeah,
worry about
yeah.
the title. We've been together for about 12 years. How long you guys been
Oh,
going?
no way.
Yeah.
I think we've been up coming up now. I think it's over 3 years now.
Oh,
Maybe four. I'm bad at dates always, but so is she. So it's all good. We don't get too caught up about all that.
yeah,
But
it's all
yeah,
good.
around like 3 years, I think. And
Awesome.
should be getting married this year, I do believe.
Oh, well, congratulations in advance.
Thank you.
And I'm
Thank you.
hoping that the next time that we go live, that album has dropped. You have hit the levels that Bad Omens is at. You guys are touring together. They're opening for you.
Oh, that'd be
And
awesome. That's too much though.
and
We can open for them. That's okay.
and Noah is featured on one of your tracks. That would be the
Oh,
coolest thing.
that
If
I've been chasing him around for years now. I think every time we hit the studio with them, I'm like, "So is this the one?" And he's like, "Maybe," and it never happens, bro.
because of Sumerian.
Yeah, Sumerian's got him on a tight hold a lot of the time. So he doesn't do a lot of small name stuff. Like he really only kind of is allowed to do the bigger stuff. Like I knew he did a vocal feature for Scary Kids Scaring Kids, their new album they did. What else did he do?
I love
He's
that
done like
name.
stuff with like yeah, that's another
Scary
mouthful of a
kids
name.
scaring kids.
Yeah, they're kind of OG band. They were like I forget around when they were doing well. It was around that 2008, 2009 time. They were
Oh,
kind
okay.
of OG screamo and
Screamo. I was gonna say people will
yeah.
smack me if I say screamo, so I would be like, oh, post
Yeah.
hardcore metalcore. Okay.
Yeah, that's screamo. They can come at me, dude. That's screamo. But yeah, their vocalist, I think he passed away a couple years ago, like maybe 5, 6 years, something like that. I
Oh,
think he had a drug problem or something. But what was really cool, they came back for I think it might have been for that We Were Young Fest or whatever.
oh, okay.
And instead of like replacing their vocalist who passed away, they just had all these guest vocalists, and they would have a new vocalist for every set they did live. And for their new album that they put out, they have a new like guest vocalist for every song. And one of those songs was Noah, and it was really good. It was really poppy, but you know that's
Yeah,
kind of seems to be what Noah likes doing nowadays, and he kills everything.
he
So it was
really
good, of
does.
course.
He's
Yeah,
an excellent vocalist, and same for you. You guys are both able to do so much vocally that
dude,
it's
I've got him
entrancing.
to thank for all of that 100% because the first album that we recorded together with Blacksound, like I was good at screaming. I had a good confidence in my screaming and singing. I wasn't bad either, but it was really like the hours I spent with Noah just like going over everything. And those guys are perfectionists too. So they really get the best performance out of you. And because of Noah, I am the vocalist I am today because he was like just such like the best teacher, and like I've even started giving people lessons. Like that's how good of a teacher he was to me, that I know what a good teacher looks like and how they get the job done now. So I've actually started teaching some people, and that you can't ask for something better than that, you know.
Musical circle of life.
Exactly, just keeping it going around, you know, musical karma.
Yes. Yes. Taylor, dude, thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. I am so small, but it means so much to me that
Thank you,
somebody,
dude.
hey, you're awesome, man. Seriously, this
Dude,
was
thank you.
so
You're awesome.
fun. Thank you. Thank you. And for everybody, please go to the description, support Black Sound. All of their information is down below. I'm always on top of that. You can go to every single one of those 300 reactions on my other channel. All of those artists are listed there as well. Don't forget
There you
about
go.
that. I want everybody to get some love. I want Taylor to get the most love right now, though, just for being awesome enough to sit with me and talk to me about these incredible experiences that he's been through. It's
Dude, thank
awesome,
you
man.
for having me, man. And if you're not, subscribe to Media Man Dan right now, everyone. My man's needs a plug too.
Yes, thank you so much, dude.
Of
And
course.
as always, guys, thank you for listening. I hope all of you have an awesome day and stay safe out there. Peace.
Peace out.
In hell we will thrive. Yeah. I've lost all but madness, it's all that I can. We thrive in the flames and the devil's my slave. And nothing is sacred, you'll break to the flame. You shine like the rest with the light in your eyes.
Young Yushima, so sick, didn't end like OG. Harakiri wa shinai, kill yoni no local shit. I said the way, singing so and misery. How about your government, my double could do such of the bullshit. To the wit and best for the bootleg population.
You for selling needless knowledge. Yes, I'm selling it to you, but my homies leave it to myself because your spirit is sealed. Because your mind is running when you only know God and don't chronic fire.
Thank you for tuning in to the Media Man Dan podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks for listening, have an awesome day, and stay safe out there. Peace.